hold on. This is how I have to start this. I hope
Okay.
you gotta feel me on this. This is how I have to start this. I hope you can hear this. I have to start this like
Hey.
this. I have to start this like this. It's only right. Cause what is this? What is this? Like this is
Oh, bro, thank you, man.
what? This oh this like what am I listening to right now? What am I this right here?
The new record, bro.
Oh, hold on. I can't cut off yet. I can't cut off just yet. Hold on. Come on. All right. They gotta go listen to it. They gotta listen to the rest. They gotta listen to the rest.
I love it.
They gotta go find it themselves.
Yes, sir.
That
Da-da-da-da.
I
Yeah.
man, I had to start like that because it's an honor. I'm not just talking with you and interviewing just because you a cool person. No, I really rock with your music, and when I hear that right there, that's a whole experience. What am I listening to, and how did this happen?
Well, you're definitely listening to wow, the Keeyen Martin experience, I guess.
Yeah,
And I'm totally honored, and I love the fact that you indulge my music. And really, that song, it just stemmed from a real place, man. I was in the studio, and I would say the past year and some change, I've just challenged myself to write from what's real, what I'm thinking, what I'm
okay.
feeling. And man, that song just came. I was in the studio, and I was listening to some tracks, and it was literally like, I want to say maybe 3:30 a.m.
Mm,
and the 4 a.m. in the morning, it
yeah.
just came, and I just wrote the song.
Is it
Yeah,
are you're going through that moment? I know how it is as creatives. We like you talk about being in the studio and writing. Is it one of those moments where it's a particular person that just can't get out of your mind that this is your therapy?
definitely. A lot of times for me, I think you have so many ideas that
Mm-hmm.
run through your head throughout the day. And so a lot of times it's like if you don't get that out immediately,
Yeah.
it'll either get lost or get clouded. And so a lot of times I just, again, I base it off, okay, if I'm feeling something strong, I gotta get this out.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I try to always honor that. Yeah.
Man, that is fire. Now, who's the producer on this?
The producer is this guy named he goes by B Dub Brandon
Okay.
Walker, and we've known each other for a minute now. We went to school in the AUC in Atlanta. He was at
Okay.
Clark Atlanta. I was at Morehouse, and we just kept running into each other in the music scene. And it was one of those where we would always see each other, be like, "Bro, we gotta work."
Right.
And literally, it was like maybe 4 or 5 years later, we finally put in some work, and that was one of the records we
Wow.
made.
So how many songs have y'all done? Have y'all worked on together?
We've done probably about 3 or 4 thus far.
Mm,
Yeah.
nice, nice. Is when I hear that sound, it's a complete sound. As an
Hmm.
artist myself, it's nothing like having a complete sound, having from the voice, the texture of the voice, the enunciation of the words, those little those fine-tuned details. Is that something you're really big on it now in the stage before you let a record out? It's like it has to have that whole complete feeling?
Oh yeah, I'm a huge stickler for myself to make sure that every idea that I create, that I produce, I want it to be a whole finished product. And I
Right.
think a lot of that comes from well, I was a music major and a super musical person.
Got you.
So I'm very, very particular and specific on my approach to something,
Okay.
the sound. I'm a perfectionist, so it's I'm very specific on that for sure.
Okay, okay. What now, a music major? What
Hmm.
that's real cool because most times when I deal in that art in the art circle, it's a lot of times we don't go to music. I'm an artist. I didn't go to school for music. How
Yeah.
has that helped you in your? I can. It makes a lot of sense now. How has that helped you now in your career?
It's really been a great way that I've been able to get a lot of understanding for, I think a lot of times as creative people, we just naturally do things.
Hmm.
And for me, being a music major, I just begin to learn the theory, the technique behind what I was already doing. But it
Right.
was cool because the program I was in, it was a classically based program, and I studied
Mm,
jazz and some other different facets, but it showed me how to fuse genres and styles together because
right.
I'm learning, an opera piece or a piece from the romantic period or baroque
Uh,
period, and I would listen to how clever and creative they were at that time. I would get a clear understanding and learn the technique, and I would apply that to what I wanted to do,
right. Right.
And so I've always just loved music in totality, and for me, it's always cool to kind of look at the old school or classic
Hmm.
artists and sounds and see what they did and flip it and make it your own,
Mm.
that was really a primary reason why I chose to really study music.
That makes. I'm hearing that now. Everything you're saying is
Mhm.
making total sense to how your music is
Oh,
produced and created now. Like it's like okay, it's just this comes from a real place of
definitely.
creation and like paying attention.
Yeah.
Uh, I know I've worked on some projects for myself this year, and I've always kind of said, okay, how can I switch up my style here? How can I, change the sound here? From
Mhm.
your first project to where you are now, where do you feel like your evolution is in the sound?
Oh, wow. I think that it's definitely a lot more confident, a lot more
Okay.
comfortable, and I would say it's very clear. Like I think when I first started, I was really experimenting,
Mm,
getting the fresh wind of having producers that would take out time to build ideas, and then I was always writing, so I was just really experimenting on my sound, on my voice, on what I wanted to portray on a record. And I
all right.
think from that foundation, it was like, when you create something, you listen to it, and firsthand being an artist, you can
Mhm.
like it for a whole week. Then the next week, you're like, nah, I want to go change this, or
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
You're right. Right.
And because we're so accustomed to always creative and ideas flowing, it's like by the time a person or an audience hears it, you're low key already in a whole different space. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right. Right.
And so from those experiences to present day, I've just really learned what comes honest to me, what comes natural, what
Mm,
do I really like, what do people like from me, and I think that has really taught me how to tailor my sound to where okay, let me be authentic in everything that I do, but not be afraid to experiment too. You know?
right. No, no, no.
Yeah.
Ooh, I like that. Not be afraid to experiment. That's
Yeah.
important to tell creatives. I love
Definitely.
that you said that.
Definitely, bro. It's important because, on one hand, we get like, as an artist, you need an audience, right? You
Hmm.
need people to listen, to stream, and support. But at the same time, it can be challenging where you feel like, I know they're not necessarily saying I gotta be in a box, but it feels like I'm only remaining here. And it's like you gotta remember you're the
Right.
creator. If you build it, they'll come. It's all about what you're
Right.
saying and how you're saying it. And I've always just tried to challenge myself to keep them entertained, but still be myself and experiment too.
Mm.
Yeah.
When you experiment it, I like this. I like this.
Yeah.
Because you definitely are outside the box, which is good. I
Thank
think
you.
you show
Yeah.
that when someone sees you, you make sure they know the image. Um,
Yeah.
has there ever been, before I even get to your image and how you
Mhm.
built that, has there ever been a song where you were like, hmm, I'm going to really experiment, and it kind of surprised you on the response from it, whether whichever way it went?
Yeah, really, I would say so with this song, You and the other song, Ain't Worried About You, they were
Yeah,
basically both duo concept where I wanted to release two songs throughout this whole quarantine experience. And
right.
I would say, in a way, both of them. are are stretches for me as far as what I've released, just because one, Ain't Worried About You, it has a very, in my opinion, it's like a more trap soul-y type of
Mhm.
vibe.
It
Which a
is.
lot of people that are familiar with me, I'm a singer. Like I love big ballads, soulful soon, like that's me all day. So to kind of pull it back some and have a more vibey approach, that was really a stretch for me because
Right,
I'm so accustomed. I was just trained and brought up like sing, sing your heart out. And
right.
it was a cool learning experience, even with doing you, because when I wrote it, I was like, I want it to be more chill. And for me, I'm very much so not a super chill type of singer.
No.
And for me, when I was creating both songs, it just taught me like, okay, you can present your voice in this type of way. Your
Mm,
lyrics can flow in a different way if you pull back some. So it was really cool because honestly, this was my first time making records in that likeness, and for it to be received, well, people are like, yo, I love this sound, I love this rap. And I was like, okay, mission accomplished. Thank you.
what
Yeah.
inspired that?
um it really, man, a lot of times, I would say personally, when you're trying to move in the industry changes so much. And of course, we're always challenged with, okay, I'm going to be myself, and then I'm subconsciously comparing myself to what this artist has going on, what
Mhm.
this trend is. And for me, I wanted to be myself in a 2020 industry. And
Mm,
further expounding on that, simply it was like, okay, well, with the sound and the wave of R&B, what is popular, what is trending, how can I be my version of that? And so that's really what inspired it. I noticed that it's a very vibey, kind of chilled wave of sounds and trends. And
yeah.
not that there's a bad thing to it, I had never expressed myself in that way on a record. And so it was a fun challenge to be like, okay,
I
Keeyen, be in that. Yeah.
yeah, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, you're
I just
fine.
like, you know what? Hold on. Let me. So, we're talking about it, and
Yeah.
I was listening to this. This is the one I first heard,
Oh,
and I was
really?
like, yeah, and I was like, oh, because you even bring like you bring that element of what you naturally do to the trap soul sound,
Mm,
like like that's hard.
thank you, bro.
That's hard. What, man? Let me turn this off. Let me turn
I
it. That's enough.
appreciate
That's enough.
it. Thank you.
Man, you talk about the confidence. That's what I hear in there.
Oh, wow.
That is what I hear right there. And those two records is two different types of confidences, though.
Yeah.
You is the I'm gonna be nice with y'all confidence.
Yeah.
That you in a different type of bag.
Oh,
When
yeah.
that so you obviously feel something different now. I know as artists when we put our music out as together, what do you feel differently inside spiritually now? Like as just
Yeah.
holistically.
I just feel so locked in to being the greatest version of myself.
Yeah.
I've never felt this much confidence and security and trusting my own gift, trusting what I present and what I bring to the table as an artist. And
Mhm.
I mean, it goes without saying, for any artist, it takes your own time for you to get to that place. And that's really from being secure and confident in what I bring to the table and knowing that it does have value. It's made me just feel like, yo, everything that I release, I'm gonna put myself into it, and it'll be received well just because I'm being myself and nobody
True,
else.
true, true. Uh,
Mm,
your image is
mhm.
yourself. Is I say it's like futuristic hippie. You
Oh,
know,
I
um,
love that futuristic gifting.
yeah, yeah. Is this something that you was this like a or was this a brand idea that came together? Is this just something that you were before the who
Honestly, it wasn't any super. planned, structured thing. I honestly, the true story, when I
Okay.
was leaving high school before I moved to Atlanta to go to college, I always wanted to grow my hair out. Always. My mom
Word.
was like, nah, because I know you're not going to take care of it. So when I graduated, I just started to grow my hair out.
Mm.
And I remember I cut it off because, believe it or not, before I had a head full of hair, I had a low cut.
Yeah.
I had waves, all that do rag, wave
Yeah.
cap,
Yeah.
you name it. And so I cut it off. Then I remember I was like, okay, let me grow it again. And that was inspired by, at the
Mm.
time, I think a couple years before then was when John Legend started to emerge, and I was
Oh,
just a
snap.
huge fan of John Legend.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that you remember when he came onto the scene with Ordinary People,
Yeah.
Used to Love You with Kanye West. It was nobody that looked like him,
Right.
and that made me confidently feel like, hey, be who you want to be. Look like who
Mm.
you want to look like. And I just related personally so much to John Legend because I play piano, he played piano, he had a
Yeah.
soulful voice, I have a soulful voice. And so that was really the start of it. Then when I moved, to Atlanta for college, I just started growing it out, and I would get it like twisted and braided
Yeah.
up. And
Yeah.
gradually I would say that was when I started, okay, well, let me try different frames and shades and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I just was like, yo, I want to do something I've never done. And I was start growing my hair out. And that's how it started.
Hey man, you doing much better than I ever done. I've tried to grow my hair out and I stop. I get about right here and I stop. I stop. So salute to you and your persistence with the hair.
Oh, thanks. Yeah.
Now, being in Atlanta, there is a sense of you have more of a freedom because of all the creatives in Atlanta. So I do feel like there's an ease of being able to be unique in a sense. I don't know if I may be just my perspective, but I definitely feel like because there's so many creatives that it's motivated to be your own creative. Um, is that kind of like the energy that you feel that when your circle of how of network?
I would say, yeah, there definitely is. There's such a variety of creatives here, so it definitely gives that support and that comfort in, man, like trying anything,
Yeah.
And I would say what kind of undergirded that for me being in college, I was always around artsy and creative people.
Right.
So really, when we were kind of all at the beginning phases of experiencing or experimenting. Okay, what do I want to look like? What do I want to sound? What do I want to write
Yeah.
about? We were all kind of doing it together.
Mm.
So it was like your friend group. Like when whatever's cool to your friends, you'll feel like it's okay. It's cool to me.
Right, right, right.
And so definitely being in Atlanta because there is a variety. I would say yeah, it makes it a lot easier to just be your creative self.
Nice, nice,
Mhm.
nice. Lastly, before we kind of wrap it up, man, I just it's because I have a million questions that I could easily ask you just as a creator. But
Oh
if I had
yeah,
a, if I had
ask away, bro.
um where as we're moving in this time and space, right? It's like touring is kind of in a misty area. Doing live shows is kind of in a foggy area. Where are you finding yourself having to find new niches, or are you finding yourself having to find new ways to kind of reinvent yourself as an artist? Or where are you finding your space as we now kind of end out 2020 and head into
Mhm.
2021?
It's that's such a great question because I think there's not any artist I know that isn't having to find who they are in this particular season. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? And for me, I'm such a huge performer. Like,
Right, right,
I even before, well, at the top of this year, which is so weird, it doesn't even feel like January through March were a part of this
right,
year.
right.
But I was literally touring up until like March. Like vividly remember I was in LA,
Mm,
and then there was all the talk of COVID, and I came back to Atlanta and everything shut down.
yeah,
And so for me, I love performing. I that's where I think my greatest joy as an artist comes from being on the stage. So I've done, a few different virtual shows and
yeah.
preparing to do some others, but I would say honestly for me, that's still a challenge because it's
Yeah.
not the same experience. So what I've done and find myself now is locking into recording. That's been
Okay.
a real safe and fun space for me because it's given me, I would say, more time than usual to really get ideas out, really
Mm,
listen to self and express, okay, what is self feeling, thinking today?
yeah.
And in an optimistic way, I'm just looking at it, okay, this is a downtime for me to just create, create, create. So when we are able to transition to performing, to doing a lot of in person stuff, I'll have vaults of stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But of course, it is a challenge because it's like, man, like it's just not the same. But that's what I'm finding a lot of joy and comfort in is staying creative and of course using social media. And one thing that has been really cool and great for me,
Uh,
I've just been pushing what I've released. A lot
okay.
of times because we are so busy, we're so
Yeah.
accustomed to like on to the next.
Mm-hmm.
Man, this whole year I've just been pushing all of what I've done, like pushing it like I
Nice.
just dropped it. And
Nice.
it's really cool to see a lot of people, they'll be like, oh, I didn't know you did this. I didn't know you
Right.
did
Right.
that. And that's been encouraging and empowering to, man, trust your art. Like, don't just throw it to the side because we feel like I made it 2 years ago. It's old.
Right.
In fact, we may have made it 2 years ago, but there's a brand new person that it'll be a brand new experience. 100%
Right.
guaranteed.
I've heard plenty of songs where it was made literally 2 years ago, and I'm like, I mean, think about Ella May. She put out "Booed Up," and then
Exactly.
it took literally a year and a half later for
Yeah,
it to.
exactly, bro.
Yeah,
Yeah, man.
yeah. Which oh wait, what family member heard one of your heard any song, could be any song, you let me know, and was like, "Oh, you doing that? That's you?"
You said so a family member?
Yeah, what family member?
I would have to say probably my aunts. I
Mhm.
have 3 aunts that are all so hilarious, and my
Yeah,
mom included, making 4 of them. They all are super hilarious. I grew up with them. So every time now, it's so funny whenever I release something or I'm
yeah,
performing, they make it feel like I have to meet their approval because our family is so close.
yeah.
And so I would definitely say there was a song I released called Separated,
Okay.
where my aunt was listening to it, and I say the S word. I don't know if I
Oh
can
yeah, you can
curse.
say
Oh
yeah.
yeah, so I say shit,
Okay.
and my aunt was like, "So you cussing now?"
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah.
I'm like, huh? And
Yeah.
so it's so funny because it's usually my aunts that are always analyzing my lyrics, analyzing my music. Like, okay, so what was this about? Who is this
Right,
about?
right, right.
Yeah. So it's
Yeah,
always funny.
so you already know you gotta have the questions answered in your head.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
Facts. I hear that. I hear that. So, you recording, you're building up your catalog, you getting ready for 2021 Vault to be unreleased and to really kind of spread your wings. Is there another project coming out this year, or how you moving with that?
So the project, I did have one slated to come out this year, but
Okay.
we just felt like it would be best to, just wait till next year because
Okay.
there was just a lot of support around it that was in person. And me, I'm like,
Mm.
okay, let's not shortchange it. You know what I'm saying? And
Hmm.
so the project, it'll be my EPKM Volume 1, my
Mm.
initials. And I'm so excited about that because, again, literally every single song I have lived it. I've
Wow.
experienced it, and I
Right.
want
Right.
people to hear that. And so it's definitely going to come out probably the first or second quarter of 2021.
Okay.
But as for the remainder of the year, I do have a few more songs that I want to drop, some visuals that I want to drop,
Mm.
and thankfully it's been a joy this year to consistently release music and
Yeah.
visuals.
Yeah, I feel
And
like
so yeah,
that's I feel like we're all kind of feeling that. That's one of the highlights. Even though we can't, tour how we want to, it's like we
yeah,
can still kind of be more creative in our artistic approach.
exactly.
Oh, I
Exactly.
do have to ask you because you do seem like you're more you're probably better. It's just sounds like you're better at it than I am. Like
Yeah.
I make some music, I'm ready to deliver. I could have just put out a project last month, but I'm ready to
Mhm.
go again. How do you have patience when you know you're sitting on some heat?
Oh, wow. You know, that's a amazing question because I feel like I'm so impatient. So
Yeah.
I feel you, but I think what has helped me honestly, I look at what I'm doing, what I'm creating, and I always try to think, man, with every single song, I wanted to have the same amount of love and support.
Mm,
And for me, I recognize just because you create something last year, it may not need to immediately come out because it may not be time, and one, there could be so many other details I could add to support it. And so what I usually do after I'm creating it, I'll honestly sit down and I'll try to look at my whole schedule and say, okay, where does this song fit in? Do I see myself really pushing it? Do I see myself creating some visuals,
mm,
building some content around it? And I do that for every song. And it's like if I can 100% check off all those things. It's like, okay, well, wait, let me just save it. Opposed to, I feel like so many of us will like prematurely put out something that's really dope, and
mm-hmm,
then we'll be looking at it like, man, like
mm-hmm.
I should have did that, or I should have waited, or you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And I would say the large reason why I started to take that type of approach to my music, just taking my time. I had a professor in one of my music business classes. He I will never forget, he asked the whole class, he was like, so what builds an empire for an artist, for a manager, for a label, da da da. And everybody was like platinum plaques,
Mm-hmm,
Grammys, tours, sold out shows. And we all just flying out responses. He was like, it takes one song. He was
mm-hmm,
like, literally, one song changes the life, changes the career of an
mm-hmm.
artist and
Takes
everything
one.
they're attached to. And I was like, wow. And he was like, no matter how many albums, EPs, singles you drop, your songs that cut through your hit songs, those are going to be the ones that people are drawn to, that they remember you by, and that
Right.
they want you to perform at your show. So he was like, if you guys can learn to build support behind at least one song,
Mm,
you never know what could happen. And literally, when he taught me that, bro, though I am impatient, it calmed me down to say, okay, Ken, treat every song like it is that hit record. Treat
mm,
every song like it is, that number one. Of course, we don't know what's going to be a hit, what's not. But
right.
if we can support each record, we nobody can say, "Wow, like they
Right.
didn't
Right.
really
Right.
push that record," you know.
Right. Right.
So
Right. Right. Man, that's real right there. I'm soaking that in. I
yeah,
love that. I love that. Because it really does take one. I've learned that it's like
mhm.
just one, just
One
one.
song,
So make that one feel great. Yeah,
absolutely,
yeah. I feel that.
absolutely.
I feel that. Let me see. I don't know if you'll tell me. Do you know what? So you're finishing up this project, and what's the name of it again? The one that's getting ready to come out.
KM Volume One.
KM Volume One. All
Yeah.
right. Do you are there a slate of projects you already have in mind finished that you are do you know already kind of drafted for, or is
Mhm.
it's just this one right now that you're focusing on?
Well, it's primarily this one. I do
Okay.
have um several ideas that I've
Okay.
started, several different collabs that we're trying to finalize. But as for now, I'm primarily focusing on this one just because I really want this one to be such an introduction, and
Got you.
I feel
Got
like
you.
I don't know, in a way, as artists, you kind of always feel like you're introducing yourself. I don't know, like I don't know if that makes
Yeah,
sense or
yeah,
not.
every time. No, every time
Yeah,
it's a reintroduction. Yeah.
yeah.
No,
And
every
so for
project.
me, I haven't released a project in, oh goodness, about like
Oh
four
wow.
years or more. And so for me, it's like this project feels like a new introduction because it's my current
Yeah.
sound, my current vibe. And
Yeah.
so I'm really just taking my time to make sure everything is correct and I can support it well. But I definitely like the other half of my brain is already like, okay, boom, I already see this, and this,
Yeah. Yeah.
you
I
know,
feel
to
you.
follow. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, that's how it is. You know,
yeah.
you sometimes you thinking because I heard you say volume one, so I was like,
Hmm.
yeah, some other volumes coming.
Oh yeah, no, it
Yeah.
definitely is some other volumes coming.
All right.
Absolutely.
All right. Nice, nice. Well,
Yeah.
I'm looking for it. I'm pushing this. I'm sharing it with my friends, my
Thank
peoples.
you.
Because you know it's nothing like a good vibe. It's and you know we say oh the vibe has to be right, but seriously, it
Hmm.
has to. It sets an experience. You know that's the whole point of vibe is the experience,
Absolutely.
and you creating the experience, brother.
Thank you, bro.
Yeah,
Man, I appreciate it.
for sure, for sure.